So what was education like in Bharata before the modern education came in? So we know from these stories like what Prahlada's story was. He went to an ashram and he learned. We know that there was a Valmiki ashrama where people went, and there was a Sandipani ashrama where Lord Krishna learned. All these stories, we know that there is a Gurukula system, and there was a guru sitting under the tree, and the whole of all the children sitting and listening to what he was telling. Is the kind of picture we have about Gurukula education. But what was education like before formal education came into the picture? What was it like? So that to understand, there is this beautiful tree. There is this book written by Dharampal. Now Dharampal is a Gandhian, and he had written this book called Beautiful Tree, where he had gone to there is this survey which was done from 1818 to 1823 in by the British in India to study the Indian education system. And when they studied, there were many collectors who took a survey of how many schools are there in each of their constituency, how many children are studying, and how many periods they are having, what all subjects are they studying, which caste the children belong to, and all these kind of, and what all these data was collected. And when that Dharampalji went to, it is in a library, it is still in a library in London. And Dharampalji went to that library in London, and he painstakingly sat down and wrote everything. The data was collected by the British, but he sat down and wrote everything by hand because there was no copier machine at that time. And he brought out that in the Indian education system, see some of the pages, not much, it's a beautiful book. If anybody wants, you can buy that book. But they taught theology, they taught astronomy, they taught metaphysics, ethics, medical science, all these things were taught in this book. And that is, and also there is a list of, in Vizag, how many schools were there, so many students studied, and then in each of the places, how many schools were there, all this. And there was even higher education, lot of data in the whole book. It is a complete data oriented book, but it gives an idea that there was a flourishing schooling system even before modern education came in. Somehow we have all started thinking that modern education is the way it has given us life, but there was a flourishing, beautiful education system even before that. In 1854, the modern education system was introduced in India. And you know why it was introduced? Because that was the time British started taking over and ruling over many of the states in India, and they wanted people to help with their administration. So the education was largely focused towards, it was like desk job work, so that they can do administration, they can become a clerk, they can take accounts, they can become a money collector, who was the collector, and then they can, there was no innovation of sciences. All these were flourishing before modern education came in. But with the onset of modern education, all this was completely gone. And what was mostly gone was the education of the spirit. The education of the spirit was completely lost. It was left to the parents and the people at home to take care. And the modern education system, as Bala just mentioned, it was Artha Pradhana. Like the Shukracharya system, the modern education system that we are going through is that Shukracharya system. Get educated for material wealth. That was the education system, and we have been continuing with this education system even after independence. Even after independence, we have been continuing with the same education with our history books which talk about outside history, and we have been learning the same thing without much change in that education system. But today, not only in India, but world over, people are realizing that there is something wrong with our education system. With climate change, with global warming happening, and the onset of social media and Google and all that, you want some information, you go type, you get the information. What is the point of a teacher coming and telling that from a book again? You want to know that, you just go and Google. That is how it has become. And the climate change and the global warming and all this that is happening is like the devas are getting disturbed. Indra was disturbed when Hiranyakashipu, it was an ego-oriented education, right? So we can relate to the whole situation very well right now with everything that is happening around us. So the whole world is realizing that there is something wrong with our education, that our education has to be more organic. It has to be in a way more addressing the larger needs somehow, but they are still not able to understand what it should be. How should we do it, and all that is still a little confusing. But when we come to Bharatiya education system, we have ready-made packages. Thanks to all our rishis who have kept this whole Indian knowledge system alive through all the invasions and colonization, we still have that in our hands and we can dwell in it. And so many rishis have kept it alive even today. So what is the speciality of Bharatiya education system? It is based on the object of human pursuit is the Purushartha, which is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma is towards the larger well-being, order and harmony of the individual and the universe. Artha is anything that you do to make a living, financial security and economic prosperity. Kama is, when you I want to pursue music, I want to pursue dance, I want to pursue sports, anything that you feel passionate about. And moksha is the final liberation from your life and death cycle. And the Bharatiya education system addresses all of this. And even when Artha and Kama are addressed, they are largely in the line of Dharma. They are addressed in the line of Artha. You earn Artha, but for the larger Dharma. Not just for yourself, not for your ego satisfaction, but because I have a larger Dharma, my duty to take care of. I follow my passion so that there is a larger good that comes. So it is a Dharma Pradhana education system, and the highest reality is always put in there, which is the connection with the highest divinity within us and outside. So a value-based education system is what Bharatiya education system brings in, and how do we take it forward in the Sanatana Gurukulam. So as part of Sanatana Gurukulam, we are adopting the Bharatiya education system because the modern education system looks at a very minimal part of the, looks at very small part of the whole human being. An intellectual is what is, intellectual education is what happens most of the all the time. Whereas Indian knowledge system recognizes human beings as being physical, emotional, creative, sensorial intelligences and spiritual intelligence, devotional intelligence. So many layers of intelligence is there in that. And the Bharatiya education system would address all of this, and Sanatana Gurukulam would use this great treasure of our heritage to take this knowledge to address all the layers of the child. The education for the individual and the education for the higher reality, which is the self. And the source of all of this is from our Upanishads, the Puranas and the Itihasa. And the government has today put together something called the Indian knowledge tradition in the NIOS, open schooling system, which anybody can take and follow. So we will also be taking it from this, some of the curriculum from the Indian knowledge tradition, and we will be taking it to the children. So how does Sanatana Gurukulam give this organic education? Now it is, some of you said, right, it is about preparing, giving some inputs in such a way that learning will happen the best. So what happens in organic farming is, so if you do inorganic farming, chemical farming, you will put nitrogen, you will put phosphorus in the soil. And when the plants absorb only certain nutrients, it gets, because only nitrogen, phosphorus, something like that has been added. The plants will absorb only those nutrients, and the output fruit will also have fewer nutrients. But if you prepare the soil by adding leaves and cow dung and all that, and allow it to decay, then so many microbes come, and because of those microbes, newer microbes come to eat that, and all of those create so much nutrients in the soil that we can never even imagine how many nutrients it's. And all these new microbes are nothing but other kind of devatas in a way. They are very subtle, right? So all these nutrients then make it so rich that when the plant gives out the fruit is much more nutritious than a chemically farmed fruit. It may look nice, but it is not as nutritious as an organic fruit. And also that life that is there in that soil, so much life. And that fruit will also have that much life in it. Prana will be highest in the fruit when there is more microbial action, and when pesticide is not added and killed or anything. Because even when pests come, there are certain insects in it which will eat up those pests. Naturally, the pests will be taken care of. Like that, in the child from an early age, if we make that bed fertile, if we make their mind, their intellect and their subconscious fertile, so that they become so absorbent to be able to learn. Learning is a lifelong process, but we are preparing that wonderful soil of that mind, intellect, and subconscious mind in such a way that as they go through life, they know what are the nutrients they need from the society. And when there are pests in the society, they know that is not good for them and they know how to handle it. They gain that viveka, that wisdom to go through life in a harmonious way, making the right choices in their lives. And that is what the aim of Sanatana Gurukulam is.